Picture a crystal in your mind right now. Just close your eyes for a second if you can and, bring one into focus.
Chances are you're imagining this jagged, raw cluster pointing in a dozen different directions.
Right. Or maybe you're picturing one of those perfectly polished spheres resting on a little wooden stand.
Yeah, it's usually one or the other for most people.
It really is. But today's deep dive is about to completely change how you view these stones.
Yeah.
We are focusing entirely on a highly specific, deceptively simple shape. The coin-shaped crystal.
Which is such a brilliant pivot from how we usually think about minerals.
Yeah, because we normally just look at what it's made of, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are so conditioned to focus purely on the material, like its mineral composition, the color, its chemical makeup. But the shape that mineral takes, well, it fundamentally alters how it interacts with the world.
And how it interacts with you. Which brings us to our mission today. We want to figure out why. We're exploring how the simple act of shaping a natural mineral into a flat circle completely changes how its energy functions.
It's basically bridging ancient sacred geometry with these highly practical modern tools. Everything from, anxiety relief to manifestation.
Yeah, and our insights today are pulled from a deep dive text called The Infinite Circle, Metaphysical Properties of Coin-Shaped Crystals. And we're blending that with some incredibly grounded, practical methodology from the vendor Crystals by Rob.
Which I love because he brings such a practical, everyday lens to it.
Definitely. Okay, let's unpack this because I keep coming back to this one central idea. If a crystal's mineral composition, whether it's quartz or amethyst or black tourmaline, if that composition is the engine, does its physical shape basically act like the steering wheel?
That is a perfect way to look at it. The engine generates the raw power, but the steering wheel, well, it dictates where and how that power is delivered.
Nice.
To really grasp how to use these disc stones, these pocket altars, we have to look at why a circular shape alters the stone's behavior in the first place.
And it all boils down to sacred geometry, doesn't it?
It does. The circle is arguably the most fundamental shape in nature. It represents totality, the infinite.
Because there is no sharp beginning and no sudden end.
Exactly.
Which mirrors what we see everywhere in the natural world. It's the shape of cyclical harmony. The moon, the sun, the turning of the seasons.
And when a crystal is carved into that specific unbroken shape, its raw energy is suddenly filtered through that exact symbolism.
Well, that makes sense.
What's fascinating here is how this contrasts with other popular shapes. Like, think about a standard crystal point.
A point directs energy outward.
Right. It projects it almost aggressively sometimes. And a sphere, on the other hand, radiates energy equally in all directions at once. But a coin shape, the coin contains and stabilizes energy.
So if a crystal point is like a laser beam, highly directed and intense, and a sphere is like a lantern lighting up a whole room, the coin shape is like a heavy-duty battery.
A heavy-duty battery, yes. It's stable, it's reliable, and it holds a steady, contained charge.
And that physical containment completely changes your experience of the stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Say you are someone who gets easily overstimulated by certain high-vibration crystals. Like, you hold a piece of moldavite and suddenly feel jittery or lightheaded.
Yeah, I've heard people complain about that.
Right. Well, the coin shape acts as a buffer. It locks that raw energy into a continuous loop.
It smooths out the peaks and valleys.
Exactly. It delivers a steady, reliable hum rather than a chaotic spike. Historically, this form actually represents the divine feminine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's viewed as the womb of creation, a stable, nurturing space where abstract ideas and intentions can be incubated and brought to term in the physical world.
Wow. And that circular containment gives the coin this fascinating dual nature, too, because it acts as both a shield and a portal.
Yes, the shield aspect is huge.
Right, because on one hand, you have this impenetrable, unbroken perimeter. If you are using a protective stone, like obsidian or black tourmaline, that circular boundary acts as a literal shield.
It prevents negative external influences from getting their energetic hooks into you.
But then on the flip side, the center of that very same coin acts as a portal. During meditation, gazing into the center of the disc creates a sort of lens effect.
It becomes a focal point to enter the void state. The circular boundary keeps all the external distractions out, creating this localized field of harmony.
Which allows you to safely dive deep inward without interference.
Exactly. It rounds off the sharp edges of chaotic energy in your personal space.
Okay, so if this shape is such a perfect battery for containing and smoothing out energy, It makes me wonder what happens when human biology actually interacts with it.
That is where it gets really practical.
Like, how does the physical body respond to that contained charge, especially during moments of high stress?
This is where the metaphysical mechanics meet physiological reality. One of the most practical applications we found in the methodology is using the coin crystal as a touchstone or a worry stone.
Right, because think about what a fear spiral actually feels like.
It's awful. Your heart races, your breathing gets shallow.
And your mind essentially detaches from your physical environment to obsess over a perceived threat. You need immediate sensory anchoring to pull that scattered mind back into the physical present.
And the specific density of a stone disc sitting flat in your palm does exactly that. The source text talks about this concept called the weight of reality.
The weight of reality. I love that phrasing.
It's so accurate. You feel this heavy, solid, unyielding object in your hand, and it serves as a physical reminder of the earth itself. It forcefully grounds that flighty, floating feeling of panic.
Because your brain literally has to process the tangible weight in your hand.
Exactly. It engages the sense of touch, demanding your nervous system's attention. But beyond the weight, the temperature plays a massive role.
Oh, because crystals are naturally cool.
Right. Crystals naturally hold a cooler temperature than the human body. When you experience a sudden panic response, your core body temperature often rises. You flush, you sweat.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Holding that cool stone provides a subtle thermal shock to your nervous system.
It really does.
It's kind of like flipping your pillow to the cool side when you can't sleep, but for a full-body panic response. You are using the stone's natural temperature drop and its physical weight to literally short-circuit the anxiety.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, anxiety is almost always an obsession with the future. Worrying about a disaster that hasn't happened yet.
Or an obsession with the past.
Yeah.
Ruminating on a mistake.
Exactly. But the tactile feedback of the coin, combining that thermal shock with the heavy weight, it forces your brain to anchor securely into the here and now.
And the present moment is the only place where anxiety simply cannot survive.
Which brings up this process the text calls stress transmutation. You aren't just sitting there enduring the stress, you are actively changing its state.
By rubbing it, right?
Yeah. The rhythmic rubbing of your thumb over the smooth, flat surface of the coin acts as a biological heat sink. It literally absorbs the heat of your anxiety.
It helps lower your heart rate and gives you a productive alternative to fidgeting.
Right. Instead of letting restless energy build up until you feel like you are going to explode, you discharge it safely into the stone's continuous loop.
We really shouldn't overlook the sheer practicality of discretion here either.
Oh, absolutely. The Vendor Crystals by Rob heavily emphasizes this point for modern users. These coins are slim.
They are the ultimate pocket companions.
You can keep one tucked into your jeans or just in the palm of your hand and nobody has to know it's there.
Right. Like, you could be sitting in the most stressful, high-stakes Zoom meeting of your entire career, furiously rubbing this little stone with your thumb just out of frame under the desk.
And no one would know.
Exactly. And you are actively regulating your nervous system without drawing any attention to yourself. It's your secret sanctuary.
Precisely. But, the utility of that flat, stable geometry isn't just about keeping it hidden in your pocket.
No, not at all.
This shape offers literal architectural advantages when practitioners are building complex energetic structures outside the body.
Well, let's talk about direct energetic transfer first. Because the stone is cut flat, it maximizes skin-to-stone contact.
Yes, you simply do not get that flush connection with a rough, tumbled stone.
And certainly not with a sphere, which, let's be honest, only touches you at one tiny microscopic point.
That maximized surface area is crucial. You can press a flat coin directly against your pulse points, like your wrists or the center of your chest.
And that flat proximity allows the frequency of the stone to be absorbed much more directly into the bloodstream.
It is also utilized over the minor chakra, located right in the center of the human palm.
Oh, right. For those who might not know, that minor palm chakra is the specific energy center responsible for giving and receiving.
Yes, and the coin sits perfectly over that center, acting like a literal plug. Because it sits flush, it seals the connection, flooding you with stabilizing energy while simultaneously drawing out energetic static.
That makes total sense. And practitioners of Reiki or deep massage therapy consider the coin shape indispensable for what they call energetic surgery.
Because when you are doing body work, you need the tool to stay exactly where you put it.
Right. You can place these coins securely on major chakras along the spine or chest, and they won't just slide off the moment the person takes a breath.
And from a physical standpoint, the practitioner can actually use the firm 90-degree edge of the coin for trigger point reflexology.
Oh, wow, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, the flat side rests perfectly against the palm of the healer, allowing them to push the firm edge deeply into a muscle knot. It provides concentrated, broad-spectrum pressure that soaks deep into the etheric body.
That invisible energetic blueprint surrounding our physical form.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for the everyday user who just wants to build a crystal grid at home? Because I'll be honest, the idea of building a complex, multi-stone energy grid with irregular tumbled stones sounds like a nightmare.
Oh, it really is.
It sounds like trying to frame a house on top of uneven boulders. I always picture someone spending an hour perfectly aligning their crystals, and then their cat jumps on the table, bumps the edge, and hundreds of dollars of tumbled stones just roll right under the couch.
That is a very real, very common frustration. People deal with that all the time. That is exactly why the philosophy over at Crystals by Rob champions coin crystals as the level and plumb line of the crystal world.
Because they have structural integrity.
Yes. They provide what he calls an organic geometric balance. In a complex crystal grid, coin shapes are used as foundation stones and directional markers.
Right, because they have a flat bottom, they anchor the grid, they don't shift. They preserve the integrity of the sacred geometry you've painstakingly mapped out.
And beyond just staying put, you can stack them.
All like layering.
Exactly. You can place a coin underneath a master center stone to literally layer your intentions.
So you might place a deeply grounding agate coin at the base, and then stack a clear quartz point on top to amplify that grounded energy outward.
Precisely. There is also the stepstone method, where a series of coins are laid in a line to bridge energy. It effectively steps down the intense high vibrations of an ascension stone into a usable frequency for the physical room.
And that layering applies externally too, acting as a physical lens.
Oh, the lensing technique, yes.
If you take a translucent coin, something like selenite or clear quartz, you can place it perfectly flat over written intention on a piece of paper, or even over a photograph.
It acts as a magnifying glass for whatever intention is written underneath,
while simultaneously protecting it within that circular boundary we talked about earlier.
It is all about anchoring abstract intention using physical, stable geometry, which really perfectly bridges the gap into how these coin shapes are used to anchor real-world, highly physical goals.
Specifically, finances, wealth, and the psychology of currency.
Right. Because if this shape is so incredibly effective at keeping our internal biology flowing and balanced, it makes sense that practitioners eventually started applying that same geometry to external things that need to flow.
Like our bank accounts.
Exactly. The subconscious mind communicates heavily in symbols and in the universal language of the human subconscious. A small, round, metal or stone disc is the ultimate archetype of value.
It is a coin.
It's a coin. When you combine the natural, subtle frequency of a mineral with the deeply ingrained psychological archetype of a coin, you create a very powerful spiritual seed.
It taps into the principle of sympathetic magic.
Sympathetic magic being the core idea that, attracts like.
Right. So planting a citrine or a pyrite coin inside your cash drawer or slipping one into your physical wallet acts as a psychic signal to attract more currency.
That's the traditional view, yes.
But hold on. Looking at this, I have to play skeptic for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
My first thought is, are we just wishing for money by rubbing a rock and hoping a check mysteriously arrives in the mail?
It's a fair question.
But wait, reading further into the methodology here, it's actually not about magical thinking at all, is it? It calls this the pocket reminder.
It is a vital distinction. It isn't about tossing a coin in a wishing well and just waiting for the universe to do all the work. It is about establishing continuous focus.
Right. It equates carrying the crystal coin to tying a string around your finger.
Exactly.
It isn't that the rock magically prints money for you. It's that you have a tangible, heavy reminder sitting in your pocket. Every single time you reach into your pocket for your phone or your keys, your fingers brush against that stone.
And in that microsecond, you are forced to reinvest your focus into your career goals.
It keeps your momentum and your drive alive all day long, instead of letting your goals fade into the background noise of daily life.
This raises an important question, though, about how society conditions us to view success.
Oh, definitely.
We are taught to view financial success as a finish line. A singular destination where you make the money, you hoard it, you cross the line, and then you are secure.
But the infinite unbroken loop of the coin geometry shifts the practitioner away from wanting a one-time win.
It introduces the concept of sustainable abundance.
Well, think about the words. The word currency literally shares a root with the word current, like a river or electricity.
The circle proves that true abundance shouldn't be hoarded in a stagnant pool. It must flow.
To truly engage with this energy, the methodology suggests the user has to release the scarcity mindset.
Yes, those jagged, fearful, hoarding thoughts actually act as dams, stopping the flow of prosperity. The smooth edges of the coin symbolize an unobstructed, open path.
You replace the fear of running out with a continuous, perfectly balanced loop of giving and receiving.
And historically, handing someone a physical coin or a token served as a down payment. The methodology calls this the energetic pledge.
The energetic pledge. So purchasing and dedicating a crystal coin is your down payment on the spiritual or physical work you are committing to.
It is highly applicable for business owners especially. There is a ritual outlined here called the first coin ritual.
Oh, I read about this. It operates on the same psychology as a new business framing their very first dollar bill on the wall.
Right. You charge a crystal coin with the intention of a new project's success, and you keep it on your desk. It becomes the guardian of the ledger.
You can even use it as a decision-making anchor. If you're sitting at that desk facing massive financial or creative uncertainty, literally spinning or flipping the flat crystal coin on your desk can help clear the mental static.
Watching that continuous rotation gives your intuition just enough of a distraction to break through the noise of your overthinking.
So you can make a choice that leads to the most abundant outcome.
It takes the airy, highly abstract realm of wishing for success and brings it down into the heavy, palm-sized, tangible reality of doing.
Yeah, when we pull back and look at this entire deep dive, a really cohesive picture emerges. This isn't just a list of random crystal properties.
No, not at all. We are looking at a masterclass in how physical shape dictates energy.
It all connects. We started with the ancient sacred geometry of the infinite circle, realizing that a shape without a beginning or an end acts as a storage battery, smoothing out a mineral's raw, chaotic power.
And we saw how that contained battery directly regulates human biology. How the thermal shock of a cold stone, combined with its heavy physical density, acts as a literal biological heat sink.
It gives you a way to short-circuit a fear spiral and physically anchor a scattered mind back into the present moment.
We then translated that personal stability into architectural precision. Because of their flat, flush design, these coins are the perfect foundational markers for building complex crystal grids.
And they allow for localized energetic bodywork without the frustration of uneven rolling stones.
Which ultimately led us to the psychology of currency itself.
Right. Carrying that universal token of value in your pocket acts as a tangible pledge, helping release a jagged, fearful scarcity mindset in favor of a smooth, continuous current of abundance.
The overarching theme is taking chaos, whether it is an overactive nervous system, a messy energy grid, or financial anxiety, and giving it a structured, sustainable, cyclical flow.
And the biggest takeaway for you listening right now is that you do not need to be an expert Reiki master to utilize this.
Absolutely not.
You don't need an elaborate, multi-tiered crystal altar taking up half your living room to benefit from this concept. As the Vendor Crystals by Rob so beautifully points out, these are emergency tools for the modern world.
They really are. They are a piece of the infinite that you can literally tuck into your jeans, keeping you solidly anchored when the waves of daily life start getting a little too high.
It is profoundly practical magic.
Distilling the vastness of universal geometry into something you can hold quietly between your thumb and forefinger during a stressful day.
Which leaves us with one final thought for you to mull over today. We've seen how turning a crystal into a continuous, unbroken loop shifts its energy from something chaotic into a perfectly balanced flow.
It's a huge shift in perspective.
It really is. And it begs the question, what other scattered areas of your life, whether it is your creative projects, your career goals, or even your personal relationships, might completely transform if you stopped treating them as jagged, linear to-do lists and instead gave them a continuous cyclical loop to run on?